All right. Hey, everybody. This is Dominic D'Angelo of WrestleZone.com. Today's date is April 19th, 2021. And I'm happy to have with me here NWA's very own Trevor Murdoch. Trevor, brother, thank you for joining me today.
No, thanks for having me, man. I've kind of been looking forward to this. So thanks for having me on.
Right. So starting tomorrow on NWA Power, you're going to be addressing Strictly Business after they've been attacking you as of recent. Talk about that a little bit. What can fans expect coming up?
Well, man, I'm in a position now where I actually have a voice in a company. For a long time, if a top guy had something to say to you and was talking badly about you, you couldn't respond because you might get in trouble with the office. That's not the case here in NWA. You know, we're a bunch of grown ass men. So if somebody's got something to say, you have an opportunity to respond. And Nick Aldis seems to have a lot to say on national TV when I go out there. And I'm just going to confront him about it and see where his cards lie.
That's the thing to do, man. And all this, can you talk a little bit to his point of just being the run on this wild run of being NWA World's Champion for so long? And I think that adds so much gravitas and stakes to an already established title. How do you feel in regards to his run, and then your aspirations about maybe achieving something like that too?
I take nothing away from Nick Aldis and what he's done when it comes to the NWA World Heavyweight title. 900 plus days as world champion is an amazing feat. And he, for a long time, has carried the NWA banner on his back. And he's been a great representative. I've said that since day one, that he's been a great representative of when you talk about a world champion, he fits every part of that bill. So I have nothing negative to say about him in that aspect. My problem with Nick is the way he treats people and the way that he thinks that he is ultimately better than everybody. He made a comment on Power Surge that there weren't any contenders in the NWA or in the locker room. To me, that's a slap in the face. I mean, if we're shooting here, if we're talking about being real, that's a slap in the face, not only to me, but to the guys in the locker room. Right. We're just going to throw these out. You've got two former world champions that are NWA world champions in that locker room with Tim Storm and Jax Dane. Not to mention, you've got guys like Aaron Stevens, Crimson, you got Tyrus, you've got the Pope, who's currently the television champion. There are so many people in that locker room that it is a contender. And my biggest advice to Nick is some of the greatest empires in this world have fallen because they didn't consider that anybody was a threat. They thought that they were king of the mountain, and they didn't think that anybody that was in a contention or could give them a run for their money. And that's usually when you slip up.
Absolutely.
And hoping, like you said, for the end of that other question, I'm hoping that I can eventually get an opportunity down the road to fight for that world title. I want to be world champion. I want to be NWA. I want to hear Kyle Davis say, "You are the NWA World Heavyweight Champion." And I want to be the leader of the ship. I've earned it. I've worked hard for it. And I think the first time I got in the ring with Nick, when I wrestled him a little over a year ago, I'm not the same guy anymore. Old Trevor's back. And that's something I think has got Nick on his heels.
Absolutely. And you talked in our previous interview you did with WrestleZone about like getting that confidence back, and how when you achieved like the NWA national title and stuff, it gave you that resurgence in that and also to speak to your previous comment about like getting that opportunity that a lot of wrestlers, like whether you're in a different promotion stuff, NWA allows you to get yourself to that level, that next level and stuff. Talk about how overall, like going from getting that confidence, was there something in a lot of self-doubt starting off before you got back into the NWA? Was there something in particular that made you kind of question yourself or what you could do later on? But then once you got back into it, you were like, I'm back in the game, brother.
Well, the thing, I guess, what gave me my confidence is NWA is a totally different beast from any other company out there. What we're doing is something different from AEW, WWE, New Japan, Impact. We are a completely different entity. What what kind of bothered, what I guess what stuttered my confidence was watching WWE and AEW and those young guys and judging myself against their product. At one time, yeah, I could do what those guys were doing, and I did. That's why I was a 3-time WWE World Tag Team Champion.
Right. Yeah.
But NWA is we're on a field by ourselves. We're in a lane of our own. You have grown ass men and women that wrestle in the NWA, men and women that knock the piss out of each other. You've got men and women that also have an axe to grind and a point to prove to the world, in the aspect of, if, for example, you were with another company and the top guys didn't see any value in you. Here, everybody is on the same playing field in the NWA. Everybody gets the same chance, the same opportunity to go out there, to step into the ring and prove who you are and what you are. And everybody gets an opportunity on the microphone. You've probably heard the fact, like, people joke that the NWA has no scripts. That's 100%. Like, you go out there, and if you have an issue with somebody or an issue about something, you speak direct, right? Because you're coming from your heart as a human. And if this is something that's bothering you, you get to be open and honest with that person in front of a camera. Whereas in other companies, you're kind of held back a little bit. You're on a leash, and that's not the case here in the NWA. And that's why our program, when you guys watch the NWA, you get sucked into it. You get sucked into the characters and to the idea of, wow, these are real people knocking the piss out of each other, and standing up for, what they believe in at that moment in time. NWA gives you that platform. They don't want to mess with all the drama of all the, with wrestling, they're just like with anything else, comes a lot of drama and backstage bickering and pardon my French, just a whole bunch of bullshit. Sure. Stuff that's unnecessary. And the NWA management has no desire to be a part of that, to be involved in it, nor do they give a shit about it. All they care about is you going out there and having a great match and settling what you need to out there, because then that grows the company. Right. They're like, you're a grown-ass man, you're a grown-ass man. Go out there, handle your business, and once you're done with it, walk away and have a beverage, do whatever. But, that's, and our promos sometimes are passionate, and they are, they have a lot of verbiage that you're not used to hearing in the wrestling business, because they're real. It's coming from the people's hearts. It's coming from their own minds and thinking. And to be honest with you, I've never heard a promo that's clean, if they're being real about it. Right. Anytime I've ever been angry at somebody, that's when usually the gibberish comes out, because it's just, I can't control myself. Yeah. So when you watch NWA, you're getting real emotions. You're getting real people with everything you see is as real as it can be, man. And man, I get excited. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, because for once, man, I'm confident in myself now that I can handle my own. I can do my own thing. I can walk my own path. Whereas in a lot of companies, you had to walk their path. You had to, do what they wanted. Here, I get to do what I want, and shit's working.
Exactly. And I think that's all the more highlighted too by the atmosphere that NWA has with Power, and the studio atmosphere. And obviously we don't have the fans yet at this moment in time, but like having that like intimate setting, like, and honing in on that one individual or those two individuals, whether it be, I think that really lends itself to getting more of those badasses over, and like the two grown ass men going at it,
Right. And we also don't oversaturate the public with so many matches that people get lost in the wash. Right. We give our wrestlers time to go out there and say, hey, listen, this is your chance in the spotlight to go out there and to prove yourself. So go out there and do it. And we let stuff happen naturally. You know what I mean? And the fans seem to be really receptive about it. The fact that they can get behind a person and know this individual and understand them as a person and where they're going. It's easily digestible for the wrestling fans, but also a non-wrestling fan that just wants to come up and go, what are you guys watching? And you know what I mean? And really get involved in it.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Too easily digestible. I think it speaks a lot that it's only like an hour or so long, and that it like I think fans can tune in, get a full story or several stories, like specific ones told in an efficient manner, but it keeps you engaged to tune into next week too. So
that's the other thing. Like, I'm so glad you brought that up.
mm-hmm.
As a young man, I don't want to show my age here, but you know, I used to watch World Class Wrestling. That was kind of my intro to pro wrestling. Right. And I remember vividly, like at the end of almost every program, you know, you'd get the whole, ladies and gentlemen, we'll finish up this match next week. Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. And the announcers going nuts. The people are going nuts. The guys going to town in the ring. And then it goes off. And you're like, what the hell? Like, you get booked? Are you kidding me? And what that did was it made sure that it brought me back that next Sunday, 10 minutes before the program watched, and I had to watch some church guy talking about, you know, the good Lord and everything. And then right after that, World Class Wrestling.
Bounces right into that.
Right. And I would be just glued to that television show, and I would just in awe of what was going on in the ring. And, you know, the guys like the Von Erichs and Gentleman Chris Adams and Iceman Keith Parsons.
Yes.
and just, you know, the control and the emotion those guys were able to get out of those people in the sportatorium. As a young man, it just sucked me in. And that's what I've been trying to, it's almost like a drug. I've been trying to achieve that moment, that emotion, my whole career.
Trevor, and that's so funny you mentioned World Class too, because I remember when the network first came out, one of the first things I started watching was World Class, because I had no clue. Like, I knew Von Erichs and Freebirds and stuff like that, but like getting introduced to that product and seeing like Bill Mercer and Danny Manning and, like, you know, Mark Loren, I think his name was as well.
Yep.
It's just so many different personalities, and how they showcased it's very much like NWA in a lot of ways, where it's like a showcase of a certain talent. And whether they show up next week or the week after, it still is a like showcase moment for those guys. Like, yeah. I remember Kamala being brought in, and King Kong Bundy eating chicken on the dock and stuff like that. And just like
it made a moment for everybody. And not to mention, you know, speaking in wrestling terms, like, everybody was over, like everybody was popular. And even if you didn't like the match or the people that were in the match in front of you, you knew that later on there was going to be a match of some sort that interested you. So you continued to watch. There was a variety on that program that it kind of catered to a little bit of everybody. You know what I mean? You liked the Kamalas, then you got your opportunity. If you liked the British, you know, the Englishman, the cocky Englishman that was just a complete asshole, there was a need for everybody. Mm-hmm. Whereas right now in today's wrestling, I guess, scheme, or there really isn't that. You know what I mean? And I don't take anything from the guys that are up there right now. A lot of those guys are being told what to do and are being so overly produced that they really can't be what they really want to be. And that's, you know, I know that from being behind the scenes and being a part of that. It's a hard environment, right, to be successful sometimes. That's another reason, you know, I go back to the NWA. It's, hey, you know, go out there and do what you do. It's a very sink or swim situation. It's a very high pressure situation, but it's all on you. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that, you know, I think a lot of wrestlers want, like, you know, hey, listen, you know, take a bet on me. I'm going to bet on myself. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, that's fine. It's on me. But either way, I gave it my best shot, and I gave the real me. You know what I mean? And you'll find that a lot of great athletes and a lot of great wrestlers will shine in that spotlight. And the NWA is very good about giving guys opportunities that may have not gotten those opportunities in other companies, but seeing that there's something in them. And just because the office doesn't see it doesn't mean it's not there. You know what I mean? And this is a great platform for us to showcase those guys' talents and for people to see those talents. That's the other thing. As much anger as I have with Chris Adonis right now, this is, in my opinion, the best spotlight he's ever been in, because he's had a chance, even though I don't understand why you got to beat a guy up after you've been beat. He had a chance. I'm not going to sit here and bitch and complain about it, but he had a chance to be a man, and obviously he wanted to go a different route. But that's a whole nother story you may have to talk to me about. But even with Chris Adonis, like, he's being spotlighted and showcased in a manner that I don't think he's ever had before. Even with all the lights and the vignettes that the other company gave him, he's having a chance to stand on his own 2 feet. And he's realizing that, and people are seeing that, and they're seeing, wow, this is a different Chris Adonis that we've seen previously. And some people like it, some people don't, but they're paying attention to him.
Absolutely. And I, like, as just a observer or writer outside of the, wrestling business, I empathize a lot with those talents where they're just like, you see how much potential a lot of them have or could have, and they don't get that opportunity because of whether it's scripts or micromanagement, or like the fact they get forgotten about or lost in the shuffle. It's such a frustrating thing to see too, from an outsider perspective as well. So I could only imagine what it's like being behind the scenes and knowing that, hey, I have this, give me that chance to show it.
Yeah. Frustrating from a wrestler standpoint too. And it's killed a lot of guys' passion. You know what I mean? Like that, for me, I had taken a break for a little while because I had gotten stuck in my head. I was trained by Harley Race.
Right.
So everything he told me, I took to heart and I believed, and I still believe it. And he always told me the cream would rise to the top. So I believe that as long as I worked hard and that I made sure that every match had something memorable in it, that I would get to where I wanted to get. He just forgot to tell me about the layer of horse shit that you have to get through with the company and how to navigate non-wrestling people. You have in a lot of companies, not NWA, you have writers and leaders that are in control that have never been in a fist fight.
Right.
They're going to sit there and tell me what they think should happen in my fist fight. And it's really hard for me to swallow that, man. God didn't put me on this earth to be pretty. He didn't put me on this earth to wear fancy clothes. He gave me a body and a brain for working. And if there's anything that I know, if there's one thing that I'm confident and I know pro wrestling, and I know what to do in that ring. So it was very hard for me to swallow and accept those situations. And I know it's hard for other wrestlers to have to deal with that and confront that situation as well.
Right. Well, it's interesting. I want to get your take on this. Obviously, like we're so familiar with you teaming with the late Lance Cade and stuff. How do you feel he would do in today's wrestling landscape, and what is an aspect to his that kind of goes understated that a lot of like fans or outsiders of the wrestling business might not have recognized seeing Lance Cade on television?
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you please repeat that question, because the first part of it kind of edged out?
Oh, sure. So, Lance Cade, how do you think he would do in today's wrestling landscape? And then the second part is, how do you feel, like what's something that goes understated about him that a lot of fans from the outsider perspective might not recognize?
I think Lance would be extremely successful because the one good thing about Lance was he was a chameleon. And what I mean by that is, in wrestling terms, is like he could work with anybody and still have a great match. Small, big, no matter what the angle, top guy, new guy coming in, he could always make something out of nothing. And so in today's landscape, I think he would do very well navigating through the office stuff and the wrestling. And I think he would be very successful. I think if he would have been given an opportunity to really stand on his own, I think he would have been world champion. I miss that guy dearly. Like, I still get a little choked up. Like, that was my brother from another mother.
Yeah, right.
And I shared, like, him and I very personal. Like, we were very similar in a lot of ways. Him being trained by Sean, me being trained by Harley. They had similar philosophies on pro wrestling and how the business should be. I had young kids, he had young kids. It was just two guys that really cared about the business, that really had the same philosophy, and got to be a point where we didn't, we were going to go out and take what was ours. Today, what was the second part of that question?
So the second part would be what's an aspect from like a fan's perspective.
Yeah. If you ever watched Cade wrestle, he moved like a cruiserweight in there. And the guy I'm talking, he's 290 plus pounds with not fucking about, barely an ounce of fat on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the cat could work. And that goes back to what I was saying with, like, when it comes to wrestling, he would get in there, he wouldn't think of, oh man, I'm wrestling this small guy. And he never looked at the negatives of it. He looked at, okay, what can I do with this guy that I couldn't do with the last guy? Like, he was always out to be creative and stand out in the fact that, yeah, I'm 290 pounds, man, but I can move. That cat could go. And when he hit you, he hurt, he hit you. But he was also willing to take those same shots back. Like, he never gave anything that he wasn't expecting to get back. Personally, Lance and I had a slight reputation of where you saw one, you saw the other. I'll tell you a little quick story. Mm-hmm. Lance and I got arrested in Belfast, Ireland once. And, there was back in the day a little rule. First and foremost, let me set the stage here. Randy Orton was world champion. He had gotten hurt 3 days before that and couldn't even bend down to tie up his boots for the next days of the tour. Your trainer had to tie his boots up for him. But he was world champion, and when someone gets hurt like that, he couldn't just go home. You know what I mean? The last 3 days of the tour, he's got to, just suck it up. And they tried to hide him in 6-man tags, to protect him. But the rule was, at the end of a European tour or any long tour, you would usually go to the hotel bar and everybody would just get hammered. Just get, you had a great tour, you know what I mean? Celebrate. But also the fact that you had a 13, 14-hour flight back home, and nobody really, you've already been gone for 18, 19 days, and you've wrestled for 17 of those 18 to 19 days. So no one wants to sit on a plane for 13 or 14 hours awake, just be like, Jesus Christ, this is hard. Yeah. So what you would do is you get hammered and you drink, up to damn near the time you got to get on the bus. You may have an hour or two, but you get on the bus and you get on a plane and you lay out your 3 seats, and for the next 10 hours you're KO'd, and you wake up like, oh wow, this 14-hour flight is now turned into a 3 to 4 hour flight.
Yeah.
So it's, hold on a minute here. Kate, sorry, I've got a 4-year-old here.
That's okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
So that was the routine, you know what I mean? Which worked out great, So we're down in the hotel bar, me, Lance, Randy Orton sitting here to the left of me, Arn Anderson sitting to the right of me, and it's us 4, you know what I mean? And it's an opportunity for us we've got a little liquored up Arn Anderson, so we're just hammering him for stories. You know what I mean? We want 4 Horsemen stories. We want, world title, TV title stories. It's a great time. You know what I mean? From a wrestling fan standpoint, moments that any fan would pay thousands of dollars to have. What we have it for free, and he's enjoying it. Well, this fan comes up out of nowhere from the bar and asks Randy for an autograph.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, you know, Randy was dealing with some things, and Randy wasn't a big fan of the fans.
Yeah.
So we kind of like took a deep breath, and Randy goes, "Sure, man, no problem." Sign for him, gives it back, and we all go, "Okay." And we go back to talking to Arn, you know. Well, the fan comes back like 60 seconds later and it's like, "Hey, can you sign this for me?"
Oh my God, no.
And we're like, "Jesus, man." And Randy politely, very politely says, "Hey, listen, pal, I've already signed something for you. I'm here with my buddies. I just want to have some drinks and hang out with them. Can you leave me alone?" And the fan immediately switches and turns irate and just starts cussing Randy, saying, "You know, who the are you? And we, you know, I'm a fan. We pay your bills. You know, just that stupid shit, really."
Yeah, yeah.
And Randy politely stands up on his chair and, "Security, security. This guy's trying to grab my junk." And, you know, and so security comes running over and they take the guy and they take him out. Randy sits down and we collectively go back to our conversation, enjoying our evening. And the security guard tells us that they threw that guy out of the building, you know, and we're like, "Okay, no problem. Me, Arn, and Lance are all just collectively another sigh of relief because we've gotten out of a situation that could be volatile." And we're all back talking. And about 10 minutes later, sure enough, that guy shows back up again. But he's nice this time. He's like, "Randy, can you please sign this for me?" And Randy goes, "Dude, I told you, man, like, stop. I've already signed it. Leave me alone." And the guy, again, the fan flips shit again and just starts just chewing on him. And me and Lance and Arn are all looking at each other like, "God dang, like, oh my God, this guy's poking the bear." And, you know, and for 2 or 3 minutes, this guy's just cussing Randy up and down. And again, Randy was hurt, you know what I mean? But he stood up and security. This guy, he grabbed my junk. He
Again.
Like, he was in there, you know.
Full cup.
Yeah. You know, he felt everything. Security comes running over and they grab him, and the guy's cussing, and they drag him out, and they apologize to us. And they say, we kicked him out of the building. He is no longer in the building. And again, Lance and Arn and I all go, "Okay." And we go back to our conversation and enjoying our evening. It's about 4:00 in the morning, and the hotel bars already stayed open 2 hours longer than they had planned on. But because we're in there, they're being very accommodating to us. And they say, "Hey guys, we've got to close down the bar. Like, you got to go, you know." And we've only got 2 hours. We're going to be on a bus and be on a plane. So it really worked out perfectly.
Sure, yeah.
So as we're leaving, you remember WWE diva Layla?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, she was there, and Lance was talking to Layla. So as we're walking out of the hotel bar, Lance and Layla are up front, and about 15 steps behind them is Randy,
Mm-hmm.
and then about 15 steps behind Randy is me.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just collectively walking through the lobby, heading to the elevator. Well, out of nowhere, Randy catches out of his peripheral the guy that got thrown out. He was hiding behind the front desk.
Yeah.
And he's charging Randy like he's coming up to wind up to punch him.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Murdoch." And now remember, we've all been drinking for a lot, you know. I immediately see the guy and I just turn and I go,
boom.
Well, another old boy come walking towards me as he's taking his jacket off, which is an immediate sign to me that he's coming. So while he's got his arms in his jacket, I go, boom, I him.
Yeah.
What I don't know is that these two fellas were part of an Irish wedding reception that was staying at the hotel, and they're all in the lobby hammered. Now imagine about 20 Irishmen drunk looking at this redneck that just smoked two of their buddies.
Yeah.
Oh, they're starting to take their jackets off, man. And I find myself in this half moon of guys that are just, they're getting undressed. And I'm like, oh shit, this one's gonna hurt. Like this could be bad.
You're bucking up. You're bucking
I've
up.
been in quite a few scraps, man, but I don't think I've ever been in one with like 12 drunk Irishmen.
No.
Well, Cade, as he's walking through, turns around and he sees me lay out the second guy, and he sees the guys starting to take off. So he turns around and he turns into a 290-pound NFL linebacker and starts poof, poof, poof. And these poor bastards never seen him coming because they all had their backs to him and they're all paying attention to me. Yeah. He just lowered his head and came through. And like, I'm not joking. Like, there's no exaggeration on this. Like, time slowed down for a minute. And you saw, like, on those TV episodes, two guys, oh, and those two old boys, like, eat shit. Cade comes through, grabs me, throws me through the hole. I land on my belly, pop up to all four, hands and feet, and we're running to the elevator. Sure. And I swear to God, I'm not exaggerating at all. It's like in the movies, like the elevator, we're pushing the buttons and they're all we're pushing them, and the doors are fucking, they go to close, and just as they get there, they go, but Cade and I are like, whew, and he goes, what the hell was that? And he didn't know it. Like I said, you see one, you see the other, And I explained the situation. I was taking up, he's a world champion, man. Like he's our world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to take care of the champ. And all it took would be for one person with a camera while this Irishman's on top of the world champ to go snap, snap, snap. And every internet stooge side, whatever, would carry it. You know what I mean? It just wouldn't have been good. Cade and I, we go up to our rooms, and he actually comes to my room, and we're just kind of taking a deep breath, trying, how it is, you get to a scratch, like you got to figure things out, you know what I mean? Well, while we're in there talking, we see, there's only one road to the hotel that we're in. Obviously, we're in Ireland, so this was a little bit of a remote spot.
Right.
We see an ambulance coming down the road. We see two cop cars coming down the road. Then we see another ambulance coming down the road. And we're like, no, we ain't got nothing to do with that, right? Like, that's surely, like, what we didn't know was our security guard at the time that was supposed to be watching us, that was supposed to took care of all of this for us, like, should have been there as soon as he seen, the first punch or anything. He should have been there. He was talking to some gal, trying to get some evening entertainment lined up for himself.
Something, yeah.
Right. Well, all he catches is me laying out the second guy. Well, the first guy is now coming to, and he goes to get up on all four to go to stand up, and the security guard takes about a 10-step punt to the guy's face.
Whoa.
And he goes up and he goes down. Well, that's what set it over the line. So Cade and I we didn't know this was happening. Cade and I are in our rooms, and my phone rings, and I look at Cade and I'm like, who's calling us? This is not good. Like, nobody should be calling us right now. You know what I mean? Like, And I pick up the phone, and of course, being half crocked, I'm an idiot. Hello, what's I'm pretending like I'm sleeping, right? Like, what an idiot, right? And it's Arn. Is that dumb motherfucker Cade with you? Arn, what's going on, buddy? I just woke up. And he goes, Trevor, don't fucking bullshit me. Is that dumb motherfucker Cade with you? I was like, yeah, he's with me, right? I just totally like,
I got it.
Man. And I said, what's going on? He goes, well, get the fuck down here because you motherfuckers are getting arrested. And I was like, what? We go down there, and I thought it was funny because they brought 3 paddy wagons because their cars, their police cars couldn't fit me and Cade side by side next to each other, So me, Cade, and the security guard all got driven down to the police station. The funny but not funny part is, as we're all three walking in, they take the security guard, walk him straight back to a jail cell, close the jail cell door, then close the big door on him with this little picture window. And they walk me and Cade into another room, and they start apologizing to us because they're all wrestling fans.
What?
All want to take pictures with us, and the cops they're like, we're so sorry, but we have to, follow the law, and we apologize. Can you please take a picture with me? And I'm just, of course, man, we're drinking coffee, and we're just like, guys, we're waiting to get on a plane. Like,
yeah, we got a flight.
And the police officers, did their paperwork quick, and literally we got back to the hotel just in time as the guys were getting on the bus for us to run up to our rooms, pack up all our stuff, and get on the bus and get home. Now, what you have to think now, I know the story is exciting, but it doesn't end there.
Oh, man.
We're world tag team champions at the time now. Like, we have the belts. So Cade and I are for sure convinced we're getting fired. Like, we got arrested in a foreign country for fighting as world champions. Like, we're getting fired. We know this. Like, Johnny's going to call in and have to sit down. And so we were concerned for about 3 hours, but then we started getting mad because we were like, wait a minute, like, I was taking up for the world champion, man. Like, that's the right thing to do and everything. And then it switched from being scared to like, all right, to hell with those guys. They're going to fire us. They got to come to the house and get the belts. We ain't dropping them. No, shit, no. You're going to screw us? You're going to fire? No. You better drive, Vince, you better drive to my house. You want this belt. Like, you better come in my driveway. Like, we were mad,
Yeah, sure.
And we got to Raw, and we tracked down Vince. We were like, we weren't going to wait to get fired. We weren't going to sit around and be there for 8 hours and find out we're not going to be on TV, and then they fire us. Like, we're not going to do that. Yeah. So we tracked down Vince, and it's one of the few times he was by himself, and he's out in the arena, and we just walk up to him and go, hey, Vince, did you hear about what happened? And he's like, well, I'd like to hear your version. And we just laid it out for him, you know what I mean? And told him the truth, and I explained to him why I did what I did. I explained, for Randy, and Randy had actually, what we didn't know was earlier that morning, Randy had went to Vince on our behalf.
Oh, nice.
And spoke for us, you know what I mean? Because Randy knew what I was doing for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we get done, we tell him the story, and it feels like a 10-minute pause from him, but it's just, a couple seconds of him thinking, and he goes, you know what, boys, it's good for the fans to get their asses kicked every once in a while. You know what? If I'd have been there drinking, you never know. It might have been worse. Don't worry about it, boys. I'll have the lawyers take care of it. Have a good day. And we were on Raw and defended the titles. And we were excited. We hopped in the car. We were going home for a couple, 3 days to spend time with our family. We was like, shit, this is, yes, sir. We were excited, and story doesn't end.
There's more.
But we hear nothing about this, right? Like, we drop it. Like, we're like, Vince says he's taking care of it. We don't do any we don't inquire about it, nothing. Fast forward a year and a half later, I've been let go with the company, and it's been about 3 months. Cade had just recently been let go. So we're out doing the indies. I get a call from WWE Legal, and they say, Trevor, we need to talk to you. You need to take care of this thing in Belfast, Ireland. And I'm like, what thing? Yeah. And like, getting into the fight and going to the jail and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what do you mean? I got to take care of it. Like Vince said, he's got it handled. And they go, well, you're going to have to contact the lawyer there, and you're going to have to go over there. You have a court date, and you have to go over there. And at first I was like, well, shit, like, I didn't have the money for any of that. You know what I mean? It's a lot of money to pay for a flight, hotel, lawyer in another country, nonetheless. So I told, I think it was Jerry McDevitt. I said, well, shit, I'm just not going to go. Like, I'm not, like, I just won't wrestle in Ireland no more. Like, that's fine with me. Like, it isn't like it's a stopping point for me. I go, 10 to 12 times a year. I just won't go back.
Yeah.
It was, well, that will affect your passport and you won't be able to leave the country again. And at the time I was starting to go back to Japan, and I was like, whoa, like, that's no, we can't do that. Like, he's like, well, you gotta take care of this. So I hang up, and it wasn't but maybe 10 minutes later, I get a call from Cade. And he's like, did you just get a call? I was like, yeah. And, he's cussing. And I was like, bro, we got to call somebody. And I said, we need to call Sean. He's like, I'm not calling Sean. And Lance was like, Lance never asked Sean for anything. Like, he went to his school, every opportunity Sean that he got from Sean, it wasn't because Lance asked for it. It was because Sean went to bat on his own for him. And Lance was very adamant about not using Sean as a crutch or as a just something to try to get
like
on.
The chip in the and in his back pocket.
I'm a show Michael, like, I'm a Harley guy, but I don't go to promoters and go, hey, how you doing? My name's Trevor Murdoch. I'm a Harley race, I'm Harley's guy. And he was the exact same way in that aspect. I said, I'll call him. Like, I wouldn't train by him. I'll call him. I call up Sean, and I'm talking to him for about 10 minutes, and I explain it to him, and he's like, what? Like, no, that's not right. You guys were taking up for the champ. Vince said he was going to take care of it. I was like, I don't have the money to do all this, Sean. I was like, where I was very open. Sean knew, Sean spent a lot of time with Cade and I, so he knew what I was going through, especially getting released and stuff. So he goes, let me take care of it. I'll call you back in like 10 minutes. And it wasn't but 5 minutes later, Johnny Ace calls me. Oh, Trevor, we're gonna go ahead and cover the flights, and we'll cover the lawyer. We'll get this all taken care of. You'll get a call from WWE Travel, and they'll let you know what's going on. And I go, thank you, Johnny. I appreciate it, buddy. I wonder what the change of heart was.
Yeah.
And that was, come to find out, Sean had called Johnny direct and chewed on him like, what? You can't leave these guys hanging, out to dry like that. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? And it really put a bad taste in my mouth about the company, because I've never been one. When I left the company, I didn't go out on the internet. I didn't go out bad mouthing the company. I didn't go out exposing the bullshit I had to deal with. I was a businessman. You know what I mean? When Cade passed away, I had 2020 60 Minutes contacted me, because at the time, Linda McMahon was trying to go for a Senate spot
okay. That was around that time.
Yeah, when Lance passed away. And so 60 Minutes and 2020 was they contacted me wanting to get my story, basically wanting me to bury the company. You know what I mean? I knew what their narrative was, because they were trying to get it, with Linda and trying to bury Linda. I heard some of their sample questions, and they were involving Linda. And I'm like, Linda has nothing to do with any of this.
Yeah.
I wanted to hurt the company. I had a huge platform right there to do it. And I did. Nobody's business. You know what I mean? What that was and what happened with that. So I felt really betrayed by the company that, I wasn't your world heavyweight champion, but I was your 3-time world tag team champion. I sacrificed a lot and gave you guys everything you asked me to do. I did it. And for you guys to leave me out to dry where I can't possibly not make more money and can't support my family the best way possible, to me, that you cut my heart. You know what I mean? And you don't mess with me and you mess with my family. That's an immediate separation of, I want nothing, you're dead to me. You know what I mean? That's who I do all this for, bro. Like, I got a daughter who's 21 in college. I've got a 15-year-old son that's a freshman in high school. And a 4-year-old little boy that I've got to take care of. I've got to make sure that I want to give them the life that I didn't have, man. So this business is what provides that for them. And when they didn't care that that might end internationally, like, that really cut me deep, and I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth for that company ever since.
I don't blame you, man. That's like, it's like, you hear about these kind of stories too, and like, you hear positive stuff about WWE, but you also hear some petty stuff that it's just like, why even do that? Like, especially that, like, just a flight, pay for the flight, pay for your attorney and all that stuff, because it's your situation too, like WWE's situation too, that they got to work out. And like for them to expect you to pull money out of your pocket to fly over to Belfast, Ireland, just to do that,
it's shady, and it makes me feel no loyalty to them. That doesn't mean, again, it doesn't mean I'm going to come out and bury them.
Sure.
That's not the type of businessman I am. But it was those type of situations that really kind of burned me out on the business, really made me not want to be a part of it. And I was on my way out. I'm not joking. Like we were at Harley's funeral, and I had kind of I figured like this was kind of a full circle moment. You know what I mean? Like I wrestled for 2 years before I met Harley, but I was in the shits. He broke me down, back down to the basics, and rebuilt me into the wrestler I am today. And I felt like at Harley's funeral, like I started with this man. I've done some amazing things in this business for a fat guy, for a guy who's never had an ab in his life.
In a time where it was like a visual business, such a visual. Yeah.
Yes, completely. I feel like like it was time. Like, you know what I mean? I just laid to rest the most important man in the world to me. I didn't see how I was going to be able to accomplish much more. And Dave Lagana and Nick Aldis was at the funeral paying their respects, which I thought was extremely classy for them to come and the world champ to pay his respects to Harley. And they talked me into coming to one day. They said, just come to one show. Just come. They said, we'll have you produce a match. You know what I mean? They were just like, just come and check it out. And I say, okay. They send me the flight, everything. And I get there, and I'm a wrestler, man. I'm an OG. I bring my gear everywhere. It's just how I've done it my whole life. It was what I was taught, and sure enough, the first thing they asked me when I walked through the door, did you bring your gear? Yeah, man, I brought my gear, like, you know me. And they were like, we got a match for you tonight. And I was like, okay, and that was the first match. And I got a chance to talk to Billy Corgan, and I got a chance to talk to Dave, and I got a chance to sit down with Nick. And they just basically laid it out to me that, here's what we are. Here's how we do business. We don't want to deal with any of that horse shit that goes on with other companies. This is not how we operate. There's one chief and everybody else is Indians, it's the background I come from. That's how Harley did business. He was the chief, and God love his beautiful wife. She was a chief. She was an Indian just like all of us. There was one. And it makes life a whole lot easier because you know who to go to, one person. And they presented to me a work environment that fit who I was and what I wanted to do, which was no nonsense. Tell me who I got to wrestle and just let it happen and let it produce. And they said, this is what we're going to do. If it's on you though, to get over, this is a sink or swim situation, Trevor. We're going to give you the opportunity. But what happens with it is on you. And I said, that's all I've ever asked for. You know what I mean? Let me do me. Let me do what I know is what I know to do. What I think is what the people want to see. What I want to do as a wrestler. And I'll be damned, man. Shit gets over. People like it, And NWA is my home. They give me the type of wrestling I want. They give me the type of wrestling I want to watch. When my kids sit down to watch the program, like I'm not concerned about any of it. Actually, my son, who's 15, I've been beating on that young man since the day he come out of his mama. He's my mini me.
Yeah.
So he's been to wrestling, probably 500 plus wrestling shows in his life, and he has seen the different types of wrestling throughout the years. And he doesn't watch WWE. He doesn't watch AEW. He's like, it's just, I don't know, Dad. It's just, I don't know. I just don't like it. but he will sit down and watch a full program, whether I'm on it or not, of NWA Power. And literally, he can explain to me what's going on with these angles. Because if a 15-year-old can understand it, he screwed him over. Now he's mad, and now he kicked his ass.
Right.
Like, wow, what a concept.
Yeah.
And it's, man, like I said, that's what I started in the beginning of this interview. Like, we're a standalone product. You know what I mean? We're different from everybody else. And again, it's $5. Like, for $5, like, Jesus Christ, there's so many more things we spend money on. I can tell you 3/4 of the people that, people are out there smoking cigarettes are paying more than,
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we're going to break it down. It just comes down to if you're willing to support something you've been asking for all these years, because that's what all these fans, please give me an alternative. Please give us something different. Please. We want good, solid wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, it's here. The NWA is here.
It's exciting too, man. Like, I feel, just again, the unique presentation and the unique diverse group of stars you guys got going. And it's like the prestige of like the titles and the history of the titles. I think that all that is so important. And the other aspect too, that you just mentioned, like the simple aspect of this, like straightforward storytelling, where it's like, boom, that guy doesn't like that guy kicks that guy's ass.
Yep.
Good versus evil too.
That's the antithesis of every movie, people won't talk, man, wrestling was so successful back in the day. Yeah, because everybody could understand it. Everybody could relate to it. Yeah. You had somebody on the program, top to bottom, that you could connect with. And a lot of other companies, I'm not going to point fingers or anything, a lot of the guys basically look and are the same characters. So a lot of guys get lost in the wash. It's, again, man, we have real grown ass men and women beating the snot out of each other.
Yeah.
And every wrestler wants to be a part of that. Every wrestler, that's the other thing too, like with I will, toot my own horn, toot, toot, toot. Every wrestler wants to be an NWA champion. I don't care what company they're working for now, what company they worked for before. At the very least, they want to be able to put on their resume and for themselves personally and say, I was an NWA champion. They may not be able to publicly come out and say it because of contracts and deals with their company that they don't want any heat.
Sure.
But every single wrestler wants to be NWA World Heavyweight Champion. The phones ring off the hook at the NWA office for guys wanting a chance at Nick Aldis. I'm talking, and you guys would be shocked at the names, the former world champions, the current wrestlers and other companies that contact the office that say, hey, I want a shot and try to be, I want to wrestle Nick to be the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Obviously, business-wise, some of that can't happen due to contracts. Sure. But every wrestler wants to say that they were NWA World Heavyweight Champion. I don't care who they are. Every wrestler does. And the crazy thing is now they have a place to come to do it, to try it, to earn it. You know what I mean? Like, they have a platform. And I think we're steadily growing bigger and bigger, and people are starting to notice us again. And we're really starting to turn some heads in this company. You know what I mean? We don't want to change the business. We just want to bring it back to what it was.
I think that's the best thing to do too. There was nothing wrong. If it wasn't broken, don't fix it. And like, you go back to those Crockett promotion days and we mentioned, World Class and AWA, all that stuff. Like, there was a reason that those areas and territories were successful. Super big.
And everybody gets a moment to get spotlighted in the NWA. You can't hide behind music. You can't behind smoke. You can't hide behind lights. We are a very dressed down organization. The focus is on the wrestlers. The company isn't focused on, the company knows that if the wrestlers are focused on, if the wrestlers get over, the company in turn gets over. Whereas in other places, they want to present that the company is what's over and not the wrestlers.
It's always the brand like that they want to establish now. And it's just like, that's not why fans tune in. I tune in because I want to see an outlaw like go against the grain and kick some ass. Like, and so many of that, like, they want to establish the brand. Oh, let's associate with that. I don't give a shit about 3 letters. Like, I don't. So it's like, I want to give a shit about that individual kicking that dude's ass, or whoever it may be.
And that's what the NWA presents. That's what that's part of, you know, Billy's plan and outline for the NWA. Is, you know what I mean? And again, we go back to talking about old school stuff. Whereas this isn't, a lot of companies don't have rules are important in our company. We have legit shoot real rules. Like, like that's like, we have rules. Like, I don't know why I get so excited, and I feel like I gotta like yell it a little bit. Like, guess what? We have rules that people follow. Like, you can't do certain shit. Like that. But, and you have to work within those guidelines. That's stuff that's very important in a competitive sport. You know what I mean? If you ain't got a referee, well, shit, like, why are the guys even in there? Like, what's the point? That's one of many things that makes NWA stand out and gives the people a different product, a different outlook on what they think pro wrestling is. There are so many generations out there now that have only been exposed to companies like WWE. At one time, WWE was the only show in town. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of generations that only know that product. So when they see us, they're like, wow, like, I've never seen pro wrestling presented in this fashion. It almost becomes new again. You know what I mean? It's what was now new. And I've said this before, and I don't know if people like it. I feel like we're going to be a cult classic as a company. Like, wow, like, did you see what those guys do? Like, it's almost a cult following. And those are the fans that we're catering to. You know what I mean? Those are the fans we want. I'll be completely honest with you. The people that are bitching and complaining about $5 to watch us for a month-long program, those are, I'm not trying to be rude, but I don't care about those people. Those aren't the people I'm trying to reach. Those aren't the people I'm trying to connect to. Those aren't the people that I want to go out and bust my ass for. It's the guy that has been working his butt off all week and only has $30 for his you know, allowance that we all, you know what I mean, a little extra scratch, you know what I mean? And he's like, I'm going to spend a little bit of that on wrestling, on NWA. I want to support those guys. And hell, I want to watch the program because I just enjoy the shit.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the people I want to reach. Those are the people I want to connect to. You know what I mean? And I want dads to sit down with their kids again, and daughters to be able to sit down with their dads and watch wrestling. I've met so many, I don't want to be negative when I say this, but older people, older women that used to tell me about sitting down with their parents or going to their parents to watch wrestling. And nowadays they wouldn't turn that stuff on for their kids to save their lives. I want to be able to include everybody, man. I want everybody to be able to watch. And then I think that's what NWA produces as a product. Everybody can watch what we do.
And it's just like, having that connection with the fans. And I think that really speaks to even the first run NWA, you guys NWA Power had, where you had that studio audience, and like, it was that, again, that intimacy that got in that connection. You could see the diverse group of fans that were in attendance too. And like, even me, like, I was like, damn, I got to try to figure out a way to get down to Georgia for like some of those days. I was like,
energy, bro. It's a crazy energy. And it's, you know, we're obviously taping, you know, 3 days, you know, pay-per-view, and then we do, you know, everybody knows our taping schedule. So it's, you would think that, you know, fans have to sit there for four, you know, basically four hours for
that's doable though. Today, that's so doable.
Right, but it's also, from a wrestling stand promoting, it's hard to keep the people interested and involved for so long.
Mhm.
But if you watch all of those episodes, we don't have somebody out there going, you know, make noise, get excited. That's those people living in the moment, enjoying what they're seeing, knowing what they're a part of. They're actually being a part of history.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And there's just an electricity in there that I haven't been able to find anywhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the fans that follow us are real hard, you know what I mean? Real people. I think one of the reasons why I have started to be so successful is because I want to know that I'm a real individual. I'm a real guy like you. You could legitimately see me at your barbecue having fun with the family. But also, if the neighbor was getting loud and being a dick, see me walking over there going, "I'll take care of it."
Listen,
You
I
know,
got
it's I want to I want people to know that I'm a regular cat that's worked hard for everything I've ever had in my life. Nothing's ever been given to me. But I also want to be the example for other people and other young men, for my children, for my two boys that watch this program. I want to be an example of being a man of my word, standing up for what I believe in, and not allowing people to treat me like shit. You
right.
know what I mean? So many people out there that feel entitled, and they feel as if they're owed something or that they're guaranteed something, and that's not how life works. And anybody with any common sense knows that. And so I have to be that representative for my two young men. We go back, if we want to go back to talking about like when I had my match with Chris Adonis for the national title. I went back and forth on whether or not I should have that match that night. Legit shoot. I went back and forth. And I had to ask myself, if my sons are at home watching this right now, like how do I sit there and explain to them like things got tough? And then I was like, oh no, we'll wait till I'm in a better position. Like that's not how life works. Like
No, yeah. Sometimes
it does
happens.
not. Yeah. So in that situation, you have to stand up, be a man of your word, and go in there and make the best of the situation. And that's why I did what I did. And was it the smartest decision? I've made better ones. I'm not gonna lie. But you know damn good and well that when I say something, I mean it, and that whether good or bad, I'm a man of my word. And that was one of the things that Harley impressed on me, like adamantly, when I was training, and I spent 12 years with the guy straight. If you're not a man of your word, if people can't believe what you say to them is going to happen or is the truth, then what are you really? If they can't even believe the simplest thing is your word, your spoken word coming out of your mouth, if they don't believe it, what kind of man are you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Uh-huh.
when he broke down to me like that, like when it comes to earning respect from your peers and from other people, like that resonated with me. You know what I mean? And so I have, from then on, that's how I've carried myself. That's how I conducted myself. Now, granted, when I tell the truth, it's not the easiest to tell people sometimes, and it's certainly, being forward and being upfront. Sometimes you got to tell people the hard truth,
Yeah.
and people don't want to hear that. But at the very least, though, when you speak to me, you know that you're getting an honest, forward answer from me.
That's what all you can ask for. At the bare minimum, that's like what you should expect out of people. And in a business too, where wrestling is so like political and things like that, there's a lot to say to that. A lot to say to that. So
That used to be the fabric of the business. You
mhm.
know what I mean? That's how you used to conduct yourself in this business. You know what I mean? No matter what your crazy quirks were, no matter what your gimmick was, if you shook a man's hand and said, "This is what I'm going to do," or "This is what's going to happen," or "This is how I'm going to be there for you." It goes not only for kicking ass, but if you need me and you need me to help you with something, or you need me to be there for you as a friend or family, I'm going to do I'm going to go through hell and high water to make sure I'm there for you. Because if shit, man, if you ain't got your word, you ain't got your family, like what's the point? For
Right.
real, what's the point? And I have a lot of peers in this business that are my brothers and my friends, and they know that no matter what I'm doing, at a drop of a hat, if they say, Trevor, I need you, man, I'm going to drop whatever I got to do, and I'm going to be there for you. And that's what I expect out of them too. You know what I mean? I try to set that example, and I get it tenfold, man. It's amazing when you just, you know, like life sucks sometimes, man, and people go, we don't know what each one of us is going through. It's hard for every single one of us because we're going through it.
Yeah.
But it's amazing if you just take a deep breath and not think about how somebody else treated you, but how you want people to treat you directly and how you want to treat people, and just give them a little respect, a little kindness. This whole world's going to be a whole lot easier for everybody. And it starts with one person, and that's you.
That's all you can work on, really.
Yep.
You know, that's all you can work on.
All right, sir.
I got 2 more questions for you. So you're going to you talked about having beers with Randy, with Arn, and with Lance. So say, okay, Harley Race is there. You can pick 2 more people to have beers with. Now, living or passed away, who are you going to have beers with Harley Race?
With Harley, we're going to throw Dusty in there because I want to see, you know, I want to hear the stories of Harley and Dusty, because it's funny. It's those OG wrestlers. They, you know, they were taught to, you know, to get themselves over. And when they were over, they kept themselves over no matter what. And Harley was Harley when he stepped out the door. You know what I mean? He was very soft-spoken when he was talking to me. But as soon as somebody else didn't, that it wasn't a part of the clique, it was, how you doing? I'm Harley Race. You know, you go back to that deep, what can I do for you, kid? So I would like to, those OG guys were always sober. You could never get them together for a long period of time because they would end up, you know, one trying to outdo the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, Harley, that's not how I remember the fucking story, Dusty. Quick Harley Race story. It's kind of funny that we're talking about Dusty. One time I used to have my tongue pierced. And when you walk to the office in front of Harley Race and you've got your tongue pierced, you just kind of staring, what the fuck is that in your mouth, Trevor? I get my tongue pierced, Harley. You sound like a fucking idiot. I didn't know, Harley, but it's really cool. And he proceeds to tell me a story about Dusty and him having a match with Dusty. And he goes, one time I had a match with Dusty and I saw him with that fucking earring in his ear. And what happened, Harvey? And he proceeds to tell me that he goes, I walked up to him and the referee was telling us the rules. And I looked at Dusty and I said, what kind of fucking man wears a fucking earring? And I'm sitting there, you know, young guy, like, whoa, what'd he say? What'd he say? And now you've got to picture Harley trying to do his best Dusty impression. He goes, we're the same motherfucker that helped sell this building out for you, bitch.
That's
and I just laughed and I go, what'd you do, Harley? He goes, I locked up with that motherfucker and I took my palm and I slid it down his cheek and I ripped that fucking earring out of his ear.
Oh my God.
And I was like, really? He goes, you don't wear jewelry when you wrestle me. So, okay. You know, and that's, you know, that was a quick story out of nowhere. You know, one of those things that Harley just like, I was just out of nowhere, didn't ask for. The other, let me see, the other guy I would like to sit down, and I know this may seem weird, is Sam Munster.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
I would like every wrestler I've talked to. I'm talking Larry Hennig, Harley, all the OGs that went back to Saint Wrestling at the Chase, because I was born in St. Louis. I grew up in the country, but I was born in St. Louis, and I've got family in St. Louis. So I have a lot of family that remember wrestling at the Chase.
Yeah.
And I would like to hear the stories from Harley and Sam to the lead up of Harley coming and defending the title against, I think, Kerry Von Erich, not Kerry, wasn't Kerry, no, it was David. It was David. Mm-hmm. David. I want to hear those stories and how, because that's the stuff that intrigues me. That's like OG history, you know what I mean? Like how they did business back in the day. I loved Harley had books from, like, he still had the notepads from when he booked in Kansas City back in the day, and he would bring them out, and I was just amazed to look at them, the little notes of who went over, and Harley, I don't know, I keep bringing up Harley, but he's just an amazing, fascinating individual.
Yeah.
You would ask Harley, do you have the number for Bob Geigel? Let's just, when Bob was around, hey, you have the number for Bob? Well, most people would have a phone book, and they would go down to the G's, you know what I mean? Bob G, Bob Geigel, and find his name. Well, Harley had date books, and Harley would be like, okay, give me a minute. Let me look here. And he'd go back, and he would look through, and he'd have yearly date books, and he would go through to a certain date, and let me look, January 3rd, right there, Bob Geigel's number would be on January 3rd. Like, that's how he remembered, like, dates were, like, he could tell you what he was doing back then. He could tell you what he was doing on what date, who he wrestled, how the match went, what interactions he had before and after the match. And he was just this history book that had detailed knowledge of what was happening back then. But we're talking about a guy it's all he ever did. Like, Harley didn't have another job. Like, he didn't go to school and get out of school and then start working at the plant or a mill or whatever. He went from school to being a carny and being the tough guy that used to go to the carnivals. Back in the day, they'd have, the one tough guy that would take on anybody from the crowd. Right. Yeah. Like, that was the shoot. And he would have to, at 15 and 16 years old, he was as big as he was when he was an adult. He would have to fight these random guys and beat them to get paid. And Gus Karras, who was running the carnivals and stuff back then, saw a lot of, prospect in him and took care of him. And that's how Harley started in the business.
That's amazing.
Right?
That's so cool.
You don't hear stories of that nowadays. There's no way that you can create enough tough scenarios in this world today for a wrestler to be produced and turned into a guy like Harley Race. Like, you'll never have another Harley Race. You'll never have that OG tough, wrestling through injuries and divorces and just that tough, gritty, no matter what, you got to put on a show. Yeah. You got to have, what I mean? And he would do hour-long matches.
That's nuts.
1 hour. Like, when we were at the school, when we were as young guys, we all wanted to do what Harley did. Like, we wanted to travel in those footsteps. He was our mentor, our guiding light. He was our guy. You know what I mean? I looked to him a lot of times as a father, you know what I mean? Because he was there for a lot of personal stuff for me. Like, I remember when my wife and I lost our first child at 6 months. My wife was pregnant at 6 months, and I was a wreck, dude. I didn't know, that's a horrible situation. Yeah. And I went straight to the wrestling school, crying, bawling, and the guy didn't say, he just put his arms out and hugged me. Yeah. You know what I mean? It just held me, and as I bawled like a baby. He wasn't Harley Race, an 8-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. He was just my old man, he was my guy, and I get a little choked up. I miss that guy so much because I love the shit out of him. But he just held me and squeezed me. And his wife, BJ, God love her, she was, talking to me and going, she kind of led me through what I have to do, you know what I mean? And what was going on. And it's moments like there's 100 moments like that with him, you know, and that's why I'll always talk to him, I'll talk about him and let everybody know that I'm a Harley race guy, you know.
That's the thing to do, like keep his legacy going too, man. It's awesome. I think it's
And
very cool.
that's what I'm trying to carry in the ring too, man. That's what, like, I get so many like comments of, oh, I shouldn't, I guess, feed into it. And I don't. But like, you know, people judge me about the way I look. You know what I mean? And you know, a lot of guys like to make comments on everybody's an internet tough guy, which cracks me up because I'll be honest with you, and none of those D bags would say that directly to my face.
No way.
But you know, I hear the comments and stuff, man. I have no desire to look like a Chris Adonis. There's nothing in my life, nor will I ever look like that cat. I do what I got to do and I look the way I look because I know what I got to do in the ring. I can handle myself. There's nothing missing here. You know what I mean? I guess I'd be considered like farm strong. You know what I mean? I guess that's what. God damn, Trevor, how the hell did you lift that up? I don't know. It just had to be done.
Yeah, I did it.
Around. Let's just get it done. I've worked my whole life, man. When I was wrestling, I was working, man. I was, you know what I mean, feeding cattle. There's always something to do, job wise. And now, even when I'm wrestling now, I'm still working. If I'm not wrestling, that means I got a full day to accomplish stuff and and make money for my family. Just because I'm a wrestler and I'm doing well in that aspect doesn't mean I can waste days away and not get ahead. I've got a future that I want to look out for. Not to mention, eventually, I want to stop getting my ass kicked.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. I love the business. I love it. But you know, if I don't have to get punched in the face for it, like I'd be okay with that.
That's
you know what I mean?
Plus.
You know, I'm still in great shape. Nothing injury wise has held me back. I've been blessed in that aspect. But I do what I got to do, man. You know what I mean? And I want people to know that if you love something enough, if you work hard enough for something, you can accomplish your goals and your dreams. And I have one more bucket list dream, and that's to become NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And a part of me really thinks that I said it earlier, Nick on his heels. My biggest offense is I don't mind getting my ass kicked. Like that's like, I'm going to keep coming, bro. I'm like a bulldog, man. Like, okay, yeah, you beat me today. You got to beat me tomorrow. And I think definitely, I know Chris Adonis is starting to figure that out and realize Pandora's box in that aspect. Because I got nothing to lose, man. Mm-hmm. Like I got nothing to lose. And there ain't nobody in the office bitching at me saying, hey, like, you know, no one whining and complaining. They don't care. Mm-hmm. They don't, you know, their philosophy is if you didn't want the man to bother you, you should have left him alone.
That's the point exactly. Yeah.
I've kept my mouth shut, man. And when I got there, I saw how Nick and Chris Adonis treat guys in the locker room. Like, shoot, like how arrogant they are. And before I couldn't speak up because you go to the office and yeah, they're to your face. They're like, oh yeah, that's not right. We're going to take care of that. And then, you know, you're not on TV anymore for like 5-6 weeks. Right. And it's like, okay, like I should have just shut my mouth. But here, it's not the case, man. Like if you're treating somebody bad, like in the beginning, I was a little nervous that I might cause heat with the office and cause a derailment of my career. But once I got the green light to go, hey, listen, you're grown again. You're a grown ass man. You know, this is pro wrestling. This is what's supposed to happen. Like this is, you know, this isn't foreign. This right. isn't. You know what I mean, like this is okay. Go do what you got to do. I was like, okay, just you know, I don't give me a call next week and say, hey, we're going to exit your 90-day early out clause and give me a future endeavor speech. Don't do that.
Yeah.
They're like, no, Trevor, we like you. And the fact of the matter is we don't want you angry at us either. Like I have nothing to lose, bro. Like I have nothing. Send me home. I don't care. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm on somebody else is gonna hire me and I'm gonna be wrestling. Just like when, when they let me go with WWE, I was wrestling that next week, man. I was looking for a job when I got my job with WWE, and I was looking for a job when I left one. And this one ain't no different. I love the NWA. I love it. I have a lot of passion for it. And the reason that is, one of the reasons is because they let me speak my mind. They let me be me. And I'll be honest with you, no one else here lately seems like they've had the balls to stand up to Nick Aldis. They're enamored in the aspect that, he wears great suits and he's tan and he's been a champ for 900 plus days. And that intimidates people, which naturally it should. But the difference between me and everybody else is I've been doing this 22 years. I've been on top of the mountain. I've wrestled some of the toughest guys in this business, and I was trained by the meanest man and the toughest man in this business. You ain't going to rattle me, Nick. I'm going to keep coming. I'm going to keep coming. I'm going to keep coming. I'm going to keep coming, because ultimately at the end of the day, all I need is 3 seconds.
That's it.
3 seconds. Boom. I'm going to get my 3 seconds. You watch.
I like it, man. I like it. I'll ask you this. And this was unexpected because I saw you wearing the shirt. Who's your favorite superhero? Are you a big comic book fan, or how do you lay it?
I'm right now. I'm not a big comic fan, but I do like Marvel. I do like DC. I get into the superheroes, especially now with my kids get into it, man. And I liked Iron Man. Tony Stark's that. Call me a Stooge, call me a Mark, call me whatever. That's cool, dude. That was cool. Thank you. You know what I mean? And my beautiful wife knows I sit there and watch them with the kids. And so she found me this wonderful shirt. And I just got to make sure the old booby nipples don't pop out. You got old booby nipples in a white shirt.
Yeah.
But after, it's funny, as I get older, man, I get into that stuff more. And I'm also, taking time, man, and just enjoying life.
Yeah.
I'm in love with the business. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm in love with NWA again. I'm in love with being in front of people again. And I love just knocking the piss out of somebody and not getting in trouble for it, man. Like, I know that sounds weird, but like NWA, they tell everybody the reins are off. We're unleashing you guys. You go do you. And man, like, I am so invigorated in the ring, and I'm like, there ain't nothing you can't. If you open up a path for a guy and say, hey, the sky's the limit and it's all on you, you watch how quickly that guy progresses, especially when he knows it's on him and it's his responsibility. You will see, I know I'm shining NWA up, but it's the truth. Like with Power Surge, we're bringing in young guys that people may not have seen from other parts of the country, and we're spotlighting them, giving them a chance to be seen on a national stage. If you remember correctly, in our first round of Power, we did that, and we had guys that may have not had the proper spotlight, and we put them in that spotlight, and they jumped off, or they went huge. And then I'll just throw 2 names out there just off the top of my head. We're talking about Ricky Starks and Eddie Kingston. Eddie cuts one of the best promos in the business.
Yeah.
And all of us, all the boys knew it, and a lot of the fans knew it, but the world didn't know it. And when Eddie got on that microphone, the world said, oh shit, like, I believe this man. Like, I feel this man. Billy and the NWA have a very good ability to find that in people that you may not have seen somewhere else, or you may not have known. And they really want to take those talents and spotlight them, man, and give them a shot to go, hey, bro, this is your chance. Tell the world, man. Tell them who you are. Yeah. Sometimes you're going to knock it out of the park with those guys. And again, sometimes you're going to be like, shit, that was bad. We got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the crazy thing, is like, that's what pro wrestling is. Like, it's not perfect. We don't do ballet.
Nope.
And I think people see through that kind of stuff when they watch other programs. Like, it can't be perfect. I've never been in a fist fight that was as pretty as I've seen in some of these other companies. You know what I mean? Like it's not. And that's where the people understand the realism and connect with us. And I'm hoping that some of these young guys will get opportunities to stand out and get their shot and yell to the world, "Here I am," because again, NWA is giving them an opportunity.
Yeah, it's good to see, and it's a good balance. And yeah, I think a lot of it, maybe certain aspects of the industry, it might not happen, but other, like, I think overall, there's opportunity to show who they are, like whether through social media or maybe that getting that creative outlet in the NWA or certain other promotion or something like that. You got to make the most of those opportunities when they arrive. So
right, got to be ready at any moment. Like everybody, how'd you get your job with WWE? You don't look like the normal wrestler.
Yeah.
And the best way I can explain it was I was ready at the right time when they needed somebody. Well, how'd you know to be ready? I said I was always ready.
Yeah.
Like I just got back from the dojo, 6 months of doing 500 squats a day, 300 push-ups a day, 100 to 150 bumps a day, 3 to 5 minute neck bridges. I'm talking, ain't no joke, man. And I was doing this stuff before shows, before I had to go wrestle. That's where I earned part of my stripes. But it's I don't know how to explain it, man. I kind of lost for words there. It is what it is, man. Sorry.
That's okay. So how do they follow you on Twitter, or what else do you want to plug? Obviously, powers to
it. Please. And man, I'm not the greatest at social media.
That's okay.
I can't even get Twitter or anybody to give me a little blue check mark. I'm like, shit, guys, like, you really think somebody else is out there trying to be me? Like, if that's the case, they are in trouble. I'm just letting you know, with this pace, this ain't an easy road to go down. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you guys can check me out on Twitter and on Instagram at The Real T Murdoch. And of course, I'm on Facebook. And I have a TikTok account, but I haven't posted any videos. I feel like a creeper. I just watch and laugh, you know what I mean, at the For You page, That's how you guys connect me on social media. Please, I'm begging for the life. Can we get somebody on Twitter? Give me a little blue check mark. Just say, hey, listen, just give me, what do I got to do to verify? Like, I can't send in that stuff. So, I only sent it in like 5-6 times. Like, look, guys, ain't nobody trying to be me.
Give me something.
What I mean? Yeah, something, man.
Yeah.
That's you guys can connect me at. Yeah.
Heck yeah, man. Well, sweet. Thank you for taking so much time to speak with me. It's been awesome. Super awesome.
Anytime. I I read you guys. I watch WrestleZone, man. So again, I'm like a silent creeper. I may not, like or say anything, but I do follow you guys.
That's okay. I'm more than honored. It's flat
right.
Flattered. So thank you.
Thank you.
Dominic D'Angelo, WrestleZone.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Dominic D'Angelo. Follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com, and then go to WrestleZone.com for all your wrestling news needs. All right. Thanks, guys.